Europe, Essex, remember? So this is, you know, a fairly intense video rendition. This is made for TV. We've got all the versions, all the different versions. We can reuse it in many different contexts. Now comes the web, and we don't really know what to do with it. Put that on YouTube, kind of cool, but there's nothing you can do with it. And the objective we have for 2010 is to have 1.5 million people actually interacting with this idea. And that's for Europe, because I'm just responsible for Europe. The idea was, we have a campaign platform that is about what happens to you when you run. And just viewing the video is probably going to get you part of the way. But I felt that the web was an environment where you could go just a little further. And what we've done is a totally different rendition online where you get to actually play around with the idea. So if we can have a look at the browser for a second. Yeah. We've built something that is visually a little bit different, but that allows you to actually interact with the concept. And what we've done is that people can just enter things that bother them. For example. And then they can cleanse the screen or the photo that's in the background. And they can do that by saying how much they ran. I pleaded to change the amount of cleansing that happens depending on the amount that you enter, because I always find that 5 is too little, but you know. Very, very crude, very basic rendition, but this gets people to the stage where they actually understand the idea. And I think that what digital is allowing people to do, on top of sharing something with people and involving their own networks into creative platforms, it's to actually take the idea upon themselves and run with it. That's what I wanted to show.
Great. Thank you.
Cool. So thank you so much. So maybe we'll just jump straight away in. Does any comments or questions from the audience so far? Maybe we'll jump straight away into then the question of creative, the creative approach between, you know, the traditional agency and the digital agency. Are they the same? Or are the creatives the same type of people? Do they problem solve in the same way? Gentlemen?
Matthew. I wonder, you came into 180, so they already were set up.
Sure.
You integrated?
Sure. I mean, I think that there are some fundamentals that are universal. It's definitely about ideas, and I know that's a very kind of broad answer, but listen, if your campaign isn't grounded in an idea, you're nowhere, right? But interactive problem solving and it sounds like a dirty word. Traditional problem solving, they're different. They're different approaches. They're different ways of doing things. And you know, one of the things that I talk a lot about is a top-down approach to problem solving versus a bottom-up approach to problem solving. And you know, just by nature of the mediums, broadcast has traditionally been a way to say something to an audience, to come up with a thought, with an idea, and broadcast that thought to the world in order to make people feel a certain way. And I think, you know, that's a great example of top-down. Digital is quite the opposite. It's really a very consumer or user-centric approach to solving a problem or a creative brief. It's what does this person need in this moment? What is the behavior that I'm trying to encourage based upon showing them a certain thing? So,
do you agree with?
Well, I do agree. I do agree that it's not top-down thinking. Well, I think that's old-fashioned thing, top-down thing. We have to create a big idea, and then we have to bring it until the bottom. No, that's very often it's the other way around. It's bottom-up, and then it starts with interactive thinking. But I think there's not that much difference between traditional and digital, but there is a difference between interactive thinking when we are speaking about creativity, interactive thinking, and when you think about entertaining or just one way.
The push and pull difference. Yeah.
Of course, there is always a brand and a brand identity, and you have to cope with that, of course. You have to deal with that. Yeah. But there is a difference between interactive thinking and one-way thinking. And one-way thinking isn't old-fashioned. That's what I think. Interactive is, of course, it gets more and more important and relevant. And it's a very new world. Really, what you showed to us, that's really interactive. That's amazing, and we are all Western. But I don't think. I always think there still will be two identities, because there are also people who don't want to be that much interactive, and they want to be entertained, and they don't feel like all the time to do something themselves. So.
I think the reason why we bring it up is because there's so many agencies that have bought or taken on a digital agency, given it its own name,
yes, like you. But like we did. Yeah.
And it seems that they're never one in the same company. Do you have any idea why that is, Matthew?
Well, I mean, for 180 and Riot, I mean, there were we made some conscious decisions about it, and part of that was really there's Riot and there's 180 and there's also U-Turn and Detail. These are 4 different groups that do different things. 180 is an idea brand agency. Riot is a digitally, interactively driven group. Detail is our design and retail group, and U-Turn is our broadcast production group. And we made a conscious decision to keep them separate because we believe that there's an importance in having some dynamic tension between different ways of solving problems. And to me, that's really the future of advertising, is not for one to answer into the other, not for people to say, oh yeah, traditional is dead, it's all about digital, they're going to rule the world, or to say it's the other way around. But the future of marketing is multiple voices working together to solve problems. So that's why I think that you know.
It's completely true, I agree. But there is, and that's why we all have 2 separate units, I think, because for creatives, I'm a creative myself, I'm a copywriter, I know that it's a different way of thinking creative when you think interactive. That's some people. It has nothing to do with copywriting or art direction anymore. It's a very different way of thinking.
Sure.
Well,
and there are different people who can do that, and they want to be together. Okay, they stimulate each other, and that's much different from the traditional, and that's a fact. You can't ignore it.
Something that's interesting from my point of view is that this is actually a problem that we've encountered when dealing with idea-driven creatives, is that they come up with a platform that is really difficult to execute digitally and turns itself into something that's a little clumsy and turns itself into something that doesn't actually deliver the original brief that was given by the client. And this is something that I feel probably is the largest change that I'm seeing, not so much between digital and traditional, but within marketing, between advertising and not advertising. Because this is something that I do on a daily basis, is to move things away from advertising and into, as you were saying, supporting behaviors that we see in people and that we want to encourage.
Yeah, but that's you, Raphael, but what about the other managers within your company? I mean, do they feel the same way? If they look at Essex as a whole product?
Yes and no, but very clearly, I mean, yes and no in the sense that there are still people who want, point-driven assets that are going to be able to run on TV, because we still do TV even if we say we don't. You know how it is.
Yeah.
But yes, because we see the need to shift budgets from non-working to working. And I see working as something